Okay, one or two of you have said that you would like some help with referencing. And I suggested you watch this video, this guy, Johnny, from whatever university, talking through the referencing system. He's very good, it's very thorough. And what I thought I would say is to simplify this and to make it easier to understand. Now, what referencing is a response to the idea that students can simply go onto the internet or go wherever and steal work. This is called plagiarism. At university, understandably, they're very keen that people do not plagiarize. That is, they do not copy, they do not cheat. Now, the principle of referencing goes like this. If the work is not your own, the idea is not your own, it should be referenced. If you are talking about something that isn't common knowledge or something that came directly out of your head, and I'd be careful with stuff that comes directly out of your head, it should be referenced. They talk about academic fraud, meaning if you do not acknowledge where you got the information from, it is theft. Now, these are very grand terms, and they should be taken very seriously. Johnny here is talking about once you get to university. Luckily for you guys at the moment, you're on a pre-university or level 3 course. The requirement isn't quite so stringent. So if I could say, for example, if you were to complete a piece of work and not everything was referenced that was not common knowledge, you would probably get a comment in feedback like, you need to reference your work more tightly rather than anything else. So don't worry about it too much, but what you need to do is to understand the principles of it, which is what I've just said, which is you need to reference work that isn't your own, okay? I would suggest you watch Johnny's video after I've gone through this, but I will just summarize what he's saying and make it easier. Okay, so when to use referencing. Here, you can see that there is a quoted piece of work. There's a piece of work here that has been used and then reworded in the student's own words. Here, it's simply in brackets to put the authors of that with a date. It's very straightforward. And again, here's an example of the same. This is called an in-text citation. If you put an in-text citation, you also need to list the reference afterwards. Now, in the video, Johnny's video, it will tell you how and where to put these string of other words. So Cohen, blah, blah, blah. But you can see the relationship here to here. And how you order this depends on the type of source you use, whether it's a book reference, whether it's a journal, and so on, whether it's e-learning or what have you. So look at the guide, follow through, you cite them right, but essentially this ordering here is important, but the thing is to get when you need to reference and where and how as an overall start point. If you are to quote directly from a source, as the example here, you not only need to list the authors and date of publication, but also the page reference. However, if you rearrange it into your own words, this is no longer necessary. If you rearrange in such a way as to put the authors first, you don't need to say the authors again. So it just has a date after it. The last part of this is secondary referencing. And now what I would say about secondary referencing is this. When you get to university, or most of these guides that you will see online will kind of denigrate or poo-poo secondary referencing, because understandably, why take the information from a secondary source when you can take it from a primary source? And what I mean by this is, if you're studying Marxism, or you're studying Freud, or you're studying some other element, it makes sense at undergraduate level to say, rather than take a quote from an A-level textbook or a textbook or Haralambous, why not go to the original source and read directly from Marx's texts, or read, if you're doing psychology, something that Freud said directly from his own work. That is almost completely unlikely to happen in a level 3 course. All your work, all your references at level 3 will be secondary sources. That is, sources that bring together other forms of referencing. Typically, I can hold up my A-level textbook for sociology. This is full of reference to other people's studies and other people's work. And that will be typical of what you'll need to reference in your work this year. Now, it is important that you do this, because if you quote Marx, whereas in fact you read it in an A-level textbook, what you're doing is saying you read Marx or you read Freud from the original script. And you didn't. You read it from someone else's paraphrasing of that. So it's important that you acknowledge that you didn't take it from a direct source and it was a secondary source. You didn't take it from a primary source, you took it from a secondary source. So when you do that, it looks long and cumbersome, but you'll get used to doing it. The in-text citation will be the original, so Karl Marx or Marx, 1861, cited by Moore et al., 2010. Yep. If you do this and just stick to this, I would suggest for further information you look at Johnny's very good video, which I have attached. But that's really what you need to be doing. And when we go into today's and tomorrow's lesson, I'd like to see that. Okay, thank you.